Hello, welcome to the THRIVEX Own Your Success interview series. My name is Charles Kroll. I'm an ex-global supply chain manager turned organizational coach who is really passionate about helping people build fulfilling, meaningful, and successful careers inside large organizations. I started this interview series as an opportunity to share some amazing stories about amazing people who have built amazing careers inside large organizations. I want to have a chat. I want to hear their story. And for you, potentially you can have a few takeaways that you can put into your own career development plan. So to get this started, I invited Penny White to join me, who's a very dear friend of mine, who over the last 10 years has built a really impressive career in the publishing industry. And she is currently the head of editorial at Hardie Grant Books and head of editorial at Hardie Grant Children's Publishing, because one job wasn't enough for this superstar. Penny, maybe you can introduce yourself and fill in some of the gaps that I might have missed.
Really excited to be here. Thanks, Charlie. I started originally in publishing at a few different locations. I've sort of worked in various industries of educational publishing, university publishing, and then have ended up in where I'd always wanted to be, in children's and trade publishing, working through the various levels of editorial up through management and organisational structure to now being in charge of the editorial team across the divisions of Hardie Grant and managing our schedules and organisational side of the publishing business.
Wow, very impressive. So how did you start, Penny, in the publishing industry? How did you get your foot in the door?
Foot in the door came about due to the university course that I was in at the time. So I started at Melbourne University doing a diploma in publishing and editing, and through that course an internship is a requirement. And luckily enough, I was lucky enough to be placed at Allen & Unwin and had a really excellent internship there, which provided me with a lot of insight into which areas of publishing I would like to stay in the future. And through that meeting, made a lot of nice contacts in the industry that then led to those various entry-level roles that pop up when you finish your degree. So I started, I would say, foot in the door came through the internship provided through university, but then from there, sort of jumping at any opportunity to enter the industry. And that led to working in a non-traditional trade publishing house. So instead I was working for an educational publisher called Taylor & Francis in a very different publishing landscape to what I'm in now.
So how did you get, so when you were in that first stage working in this sort of non-traditional publishing environment, what sort of, made you take on that role and what did you get out of it?
I think at that stage it was a learning opportunity. While publishing is a really broad industry, it covers absolutely any and everything that you can imagine comes out of the world of words. So whether or not that's an instructional manual for your remote control or a children's book, everything sort of comes out of a publishing lens. And I think coming across the initial project editor job at Taylor & Francis meant that I was all of a sudden given exposure and knowledge into a different educational journal publishing market, which I wasn't really aware of while I was studying to break into this industry.
So that all sounds wonderful, Penny, but I can't imagine it was all sunshine and rainbows. What were some of the early struggles you faced when you were trying to sort of get your career moving? When were you really stuck and, frustrated?
I think probably along the ways. I've been at Hardie Grant for over 8 years, so it's sort of it's the longest place that I've worked in my professional career, and probably in my unprofessional career earlier than that as well. But in the early years, it was finding a foothold somewhere that I wanted to be, and I wanted to be for a long time. So moving from academic journals publishing into working at Melbourne University publishing in sort of the more non-fiction academia strain of publishing, to somewhere where I could sort of see a future and see development and growth. Logistically and realistically, location is a hard thing. Previously, 8 years ago, before I was at Hardie Grant, it wasn't, remote working wasn't as common and wasn't as sort of available to people sort of getting their start in the industry. So finding jobs that appealed and were both accessible in terms of being in the same country, the same state, the same city, those kind of things. Australia is a very different there's two main centres of Melbourne and Sydney. Lots of the children's publishing roles were in Sydney at that time, and I think a few struggles that I had was biding my time, gaining experience, but then being ready and confident enough to apply for the jobs that came up where I wanted to be when they were available.
So particularly, so we sort of look towards your time now at Hardie Grant, where you've sort of really been for quite a number of years now, and sort of experienced some really great progression. Was there like a moment for you while you were working there where you sort of realized, hey, this is where I'm going to be and this is what I'm going to do, and how am I going to get there?
It's an interesting question and an interesting thing to consider, because I think hindsight's a really strange thing to think about when you're thinking about your own personal decisions that you've made along the way. I now, looking back, can sort of pinpoint a couple of times where there was a real opportunity to step up, opportunities that were afforded to me due to pure circumstance of other people in the business either going on extended leave or leaving, that then opened the pathway to a new role at the time. But I think, thinking back, there are sort of 2 points that I can pinpoint this to. Which is what I just alluded to, of having the opportunity to step into a more senior role due to another staff member, more senior staff member going on extended leave. And while in that role, really taking the opportunity to dive in headfirst and not be concerned about acting up and taking on extra responsibility. So I think it's a fine line to walk between doing too much for your workload and the balance of what you're able to achieve, but also having a stretch goal that you're working towards and learning about other parts of the business that might not have necessarily been in your immediate remit at the start. So for me, that meant stepping outside of what we tend to think about as technical editorial, so copy editing, development work, proofreading, project management, art direction, those kind of things, to then stepping into staff management of interns, looking at that more financial and organizational structure side of the business, rather than just what I had been doing previously, which was editorial.
So what have you learned about yourself along the way throughout your career journey?
I think I have learned that things that I thought about myself that were just a part of my personality and my personal life are actually really strong motivators for me in my work life as well. So I'm not to use a terrible phrase, but a real people person. I love meeting new people. I love talking to people and finding out sort of what makes them happy and how to sort of, I would say, a generous person in trying to sort of make everybody feel as comfortable as they can be in any situation, and making the best of any social situation or personal situation that you find yourself in. And I think once I opened my eyes up to management and working with staff, I found a real benefit to doing that for junior staff members and in a mentoring capacity. And so all of a sudden, I wasn't only getting satisfaction out of working on projects and having a tangible book that I had at the end, but I was aiding in the development of other staff members, looking forward for their careers and helping them figure out their own pathways, as well as which led me to find my own pathway and making sure that that was a real part of my role. I think it's something that you sort of, when you think about your own personality and how that relates to work, it might be that you have a very different personality at work than in your home life. But for me, it's a real extension of that. And
that's so true. I think, when you're really starting early out, you're really trying to fit into what you expect a person that works in the corporate world should be. And the older we get, the more we realize that, who we are as people is what people want to see, and that's what resonates with others. So yeah, creating the work penny and the at-home penny, right? Those two people are one and the same. And what people love about penny at home are what people love about penny at work as well. And really leveraging those strengths, create an opportunity for you to create a really unique brand of leadership and style of work that, will draw people that are like you to you, and together you can really create something amazing.
I think it's just finding the small things that give you joy at work as well. Like I really like fixing things. And so all of a sudden being able to move into a new team that has a whole bunch of new problems that I can turn my mind to that might be pretty similar to something that I've done in the past, but have a slightly different scope because it's working with a different type of book or a different type of creator or a different schedule or a different timeline. Being able to sort of re-energize myself at work through a new team has been really wonderful.
Amazing. All right, well, we're almost getting to the end, Penny. Is there anything that you want to share, I think, for people that are maybe in the process of building their career and maybe feeling a bit stuck or blocked or frustrated, something you think might help them sort of, shift them up to the next level?
The only thing that I can sort of say in looking back at my career path over the last 12 years would be to back yourself. And we were talking about this the other day, but knowing that if you think you can do something, you're already doing it. Like if just putting yourself out there for positions, putting yourself out there for tasks or secondments and things like that might be slightly outside of your comfort zone, that's the opportunity for growth. And whether or not, and it's not necessarily just an opportunity for career growth, but for personal as well. You might find something that you really enjoy doing by taking on something that isn't in your immediate remit, or you might find that you don't like doing that, which is also really beneficial to know that you actually want to sort of rethink about which way you want to go in the future. So I think that's kind of the only advice I have, is that you generally need to have a sense of confidence in what you're able to achieve, but also in what you think you're going to be able to grow into. And generally we undersell ourselves, and at work is probably the place where you need to have your own back as well as that of your staff if you're in a management position. But knowing that you can achieve what you think you can achieve is probably my only small piece of advice.
I love that takeaway. This is like a perfect catchcry, right? If you think you can do it, do it.
Well, I mean, the realistically, you're most likely already doing it. It's just actually underlining that with a new title, a new line in your job description, and something that you feel like you can hang your hat on at the end of the day.
So Penny, I made a few notes while we were chatting, right, just to sort of make sure I captured some of the key things that you were sharing. And for me, what I was really hearing was, first and foremost, find a career in an industry that you're passionate about. Find something where you want to work, and make sure that, it is something that drives you inside. And when you're looking for that foot in the door, when you're looking at the beginning, look at those industries that are sort of industry adjacent. Look for opportunities that might not be 100% what you're looking for, but has enough to give you some skills that are going to transfer to that more desired specific industry that you're looking for. The one that I really resonated with me was about looking and actively seeking out a company that has the right fit for you. You obviously were exploring various different companies, building your experience, but where you wanted to be was somewhere that fitted your personality and fitted your desire to have long-term growth and progression. And I think that's so important. Finding the right company to work for that works for you as an individual is key. And the last one, which I think, again, can serve us in all aspects of life, is just back yourself. Be confident. If you want it, if you think you can do it, you're probably already doing it. But putting yourself out there is going to bring you rewards beyond just title, but, learning more things about yourself and, what you can do. So thank you so much for being so open and so vulnerable and sharing with us that journey. And no doubt, whoever's listening to this out there will certainly learn something from that. So thank you so much.
No worries. You've made me sound very wise in that those notes that you took, which were definitely not verbatim. So thank you. It's very kind.
No, license is definitely there. All right, Penny, let's sign off and look forward to our next chat. So there we have it. That was the first installment of THRIVEX Own Your Success interview series. I hope you were able to take some really important lessons away from Penny and the amazing career that she has had. If you are wanting to create a development plan, if you want to sort of move your career up to the next level and you think I might be able to help, please reach out to me at LinkedIn or also via my website, www.thrivex-coaching.com, and we can definitely have a chat about that. And also, if you have a story to share and some lessons that you can pass out into the universe, please let me know and we can find a moment to have a chat. Thanks for listening. See you soon.